Recording in progress.
All right, welcome everybody to the SMU General Assembly. Today we are under 350 people, which means we have not reached the GA quorum, meaning that today's meeting is a consultative forum and all motions will have to be sent back to Legislative Council for approval. That is if we don't get to 350 people before the time that we vote. The meeting is called to order at 18:07 on October 18th, 2021. The Student Society of McGill University acknowledges that McGill University is situated on the traditional and unceded territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe nations. The Student Society of McGill University recognizes and respects these nations as the true and constant custodians of these lands and waters on which we meet today. Further, the Student Society of McGill University commits to and respects the traditional laws and customs of these territories. All right, so we'll be moving to agenda item number 3, the adoption of the standing rules for this General Assembly. So the standing rules were shared with all of you, and they are streamed at this moment. If there is a demand to do so, we can go through each and every one of them. If not, I will take motions to vote on the standing rules by acclamation. Addie Parsons? VP External? Oh, I apologize. I forgot that the way we're doing meetings today is that I have to unmute you myself. My apologies. And this is a motion to approve. Motion to approve the standing rules. Thank you. Can we get a second, please?
Yeah, second.
Thank you. So seeing no opposition, the standing rules have been approved. If there are throughout this General Assembly any questions about procedure, feel free to send me a message or just speak up. As well as any points, simply raise your hand and I'll take them. And finally, if you want me to speak about you in a certain way, please change your name. So for example, if you prefer I call you Vice President or Counselor or whichever, please write that in your username at this time. All right, so we'll be moving to the adoption of the agenda. We'll be voting on it in a second. I just want it to be streamed that way. All right, I think my stream might have bugged out, which is why I couldn't see it for a second. Okay, we can move to the to approve the agenda. Sasha? Motion to approve the agenda. Thank you very much. Is there a second? VP Internal?
Second.
Thank you. All right, so if there is any opposition to this agenda or any amendments, please make it known now. Seeing none, this agenda has been approved. So we'll now be moving to item number 5, the minutes for approval. So in 5A, we have the minutes from last General Assembly, the General Assembly of Winter 2021. If you wish, once again, I can read through them. If not, we can simply scroll through them on the stream, and you can check them out in your own time. They are on the website, if I'm not mistaken, or you have access to them. We also have translations available this evening. So if ever you require translations of what is being told or of documents being given, you can ask and you'll be provided with translations. All right, seeing as we have gone through the minutes, we will now move to motion to approve. So if I can get a motion to approve. If not, we can also correct it if there's a point, but that will be done once we get a motion. Ganya,
Motion to approve.
thank you. Can we get a second? VP UA,
Approved. Or seconded, sorry.
thank you. If there is any opposition or amendments, please raise your hands. Seeing none, the minutes for the Winter 2021 General Assembly have been approved. All right, so we'll now be moving to item number 6, which is question period. Now, this is the time you have to ask questions to the assembly. And if you have any questions you want to ask to the whole assembly or to specific members of the assembly, this is your chance. We'll begin with a 5-minute time for question period, but if need be, we will be extending it. VP External, is there a question or a point?
Yes, thank you. I just had a question as to whether or not we will have to pass a motion here to give Legislative Council the power to approve the item 7A, considering that we do not have quorum at this time.
So you'll not have to pass a motion here to give Legislative Council the power. This is done automatically per the Constitution. Since we have not reached quorum, this is not a General Assembly but a consultative assembly, in that anything that is passed here today will have to be then approved by Legislative Council. Does that clear things up?
Yes, thank you very much.
Awesome. So we'll now be entering question period for 5 minutes. So please raise your hands if you have any questions to pose to the members of the assembly. All right, seeing no questions, we'll be moving to item number 7. Oh. Councilor Wen-Yu?
Yeah, hi. Well, it's not exactly a question, but it's more like addressing towards you, like to notify, like for presence and stuff for the GA. Like I emailed Michelle Chernoff that I would have to leave at like 6:50 because I have a meeting due to school, and then she told me that it's okay, and I just wanted to like run it through you just to like notify it.
That is really appreciated. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll note it down. All right, seeing no further questions, we can move to item number 7, new business. This is the motion that we have to approve today. So it is 7A, the motion regarding the nominations to the Society's Board of Directors. As such, can we have the motion up on the screen? Perfect. So I will let Vice President Internal Affairs Saha take the floor from here. Can you quickly raise your hand, that way I can unmute you? Thank you.
Hello, sorry about that. Okay, so basically this motion is just to ratify the decisions that Legislative Council has made, which was the nomination of 8 directors. So basically, the way that the Board of Directors works is that you need 4 executives, 4 Legislative Council representatives, and 4 members at large. And we need to nominate these people because we would not need quorum, as a few directors have resigned early or basically like left. So this is the basically what this motion is about. And if you want to scroll down, the names are there, and the dates that they were nominated. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you. We'll now be proceeding to question period. If there are any questions about this motion, please raise your hands. Seeing none, we'll be moving on to debate period. If anybody wishes to speak about this motion, please raise your hand. Seeing no debate, we'll be moving to voting. We have provided some voting forms. I believe they will be shared with you in a second. All right, yes. All right, so can I get some like reactions if you can see the motion poll? Awesome, great. All right, so please go ahead and vote on this motion. Voting will end in 30 seconds. All right, voting period has ended. With 20 votes in favor and 1 abstention, this motion passes and will be sent to Legislative Council for further approval. All right, we'll be moving to the next agenda point, the report of the Board of Directors. All right, VP Internal, you have the floor for 5 minutes.
Thank you. So I'm just going to go over basically what Board of Directors is for people that might not be aware of its function, and then some of the key decisions that have been taken since the last referendum in fall 2021. So what is the Board of Directors? The Board of Directors, so like I said before when I was presenting the motion, it's composed of 12 people, 4 executives, 4 councillors, and 4 members at large that are decided through applications. And the general manager is usually part of these meetings, but as a non-voting member. So your requirements to be on the Board of Directors, you have to be at least 18, a citizen or a permanent resident of Canada. You can't be bankrupt, and not have been declared incapable by a court or have a criminal record. So basically be a model citizen. And basically what the Board of Directors does is it's one of the highest governing bodies of SMU, or rather is the highest one. And it takes decisions on the finances, the operations, human resources, and any legal cases that might come up or legal issues. And as well, it ratifies all the resolutions that are passed at Legislative Council, as it is the highest governing body. And it meets twice a month, so bi-weekly during the academic year. So that's a little run through of what the Board of Directors is and does. And some of the important decisions that were made since last winter. So we ratified a bunch of cases from the Judicial Board that were sent to us. So you can see the dates here of when they were ratified. We adopted a new equity policy in May. There was also the adoption of the Divest for Human Rights policy. And we added an international student to the conversation through student care, which allows to broaden the discussions. And the latest thing that we did was purchase new office furniture for the SMU office because it was getting pretty old and we needed a revamp. So yeah, that's what the Board of Directors has been up to. I stand for any questions, or you can email me, that's cool too.
Thank you very much for this swift presentation. We'll now be taking questions about this presentation. If you have any questions, please raise your hands. Seeing no questions, we'll be moving on to the next point. The report by executives. First off, we have the report by Vice President External Affairs. Once again, if you can raise your hand, that way I can unmute you.
Merci beaucoup. Alors bonjour à tous. Aujourd'hui, je vais juste vous faire un petit rapport sur ce que le portefeuille des affaires externes a fait depuis le 1er juin. So the external affairs portfolio has a few mandates, official and unofficial. The official mandates of the external affairs portfolio are external affairs, community relations, as community affairs and community engagement, political affairs, union affairs, and Black affairs. But the portfolio also consults on Francophone affairs, Indigenous affairs, and popular education. So far, this fall, in regards to external affairs, the external affairs portfolio has been working very hard with the UCRU, which, for those of you who are unaware, is the federation of, is the coalition on the federal level of government of the top 10 Canadian research-intensive undergraduate universities. UCRU holds a lobby week every year to lobby to MPs about the needs of students and big priorities. So we are preparing for lobby week at the end of November. Furthermore, there's been a lot of government relations, especially on the municipal and provincial levels, I've had the opportunity to speak with several local representatives, and with the municipal elections coming up, it was very good to gauge their priorities and how the SMU as well as the McGill student body would fit into all of that. Moreover, and that relates back to UCRU, both in the points of international students and Bill 21 came up. Within UCRU, I was elected as chair of the bilingualism committee, where the topic of international students and inclusivity is very important. And so on the federal side, but also the external portfolio side, we've been simply looking at how we can make a more inclusive environment for international students. And finally, I had the chance to observe at the Untitled Chapter, which is a conference that happens between most Quebec student unions and a kind of unofficial coalition. Next, in terms of community affairs, the big project that we've been working on is a Royal Victoria Hospital site. We have had the opportunity to speak with several different relevant stakeholders on the Royal Victoria Hospital site in the hope to continue the work that was done by previous executives and ensure the non-privatization of the site and ensure that it will go towards community needs and student needs. Moreover, this was in the process of joining the Communauté Saint-Urbain, similarly to the Milton Park Citizens Committee, which would be a great opportunity for us to continually get involved with local areas in which the McGill student body is very present. Also, community affairs, a huge part of it is affordable student housing and the question of housing in general. So I'll speak a little bit more about this during campaigns, but we are in the process of starting a campaign on housing and tenant rights. And obviously the Royal Victoria Hospital site is something that we really want to underline regarding affordable student housing. We would love to put affordable student housing in there. But regardless, our plans with UTIL, which is our partner for our affordable student housing plan, is going great, and we have 2 potential locations. And finally, we're developing the Frosh Street teams so as to ensure that there is kind of a standing way that things are done with the Frosh Street teams and some institutional knowledge in that regard to ensure that all students are safe in that time. Next is political campaigns. So a big part of the political campaign so far has been the Royal Victoria Hospital site. Like I said, we've been working with the Milton Park Citizens Committee in the Royal Victoria Coalition. Moreover, there was the protest held with the Vice President of University Affairs here present for a safe and accessible campus to mandate McGill to increase COVID-related safety on campus and accommodations for students and staff alike. And finally, as the Vice President's internal mentioned in the Board of Directors report, the DHR policy was adopted at the Board of Directors. Furthermore, regarding Black affairs and union affairs, the reason those 2 slides are mixed is because there was a little bit movement there, a little bit less movement there, as the Black Affairs Commissioner was only hired a little bit later. But the Black Affairs Commissioner has been hard at work, being a liaison with McGill's anti-Black racism team and looking at that plan to see how the SMU can help facilitate that plan and can help ease the inclusivity and create an equitable space for BIPOC students on campus. Furthermore, we've been talking with the BSN as to continue the campaign regarding James McGill and take down James McGill. The Black Affairs Committee will be discussing that and will be including a member of each BIPOC student group on campus. And finally, we are working on a plan to create awards for Black students on campus, as suggested by the Black Affairs Commissioner. We would like to present those in February to BIPOC students who partake in their community to a great extent. And in regards to union affairs, I've had the chance to lobby with the U15 schools, so the top 15 undergraduate universities, and kind of strengthen the relationships with them so as to work on government liaison in the future, as well as create some coalition building initiatives. And finally, a few other points. Like I mentioned previously, UTIL, our partners for the Affordable Student Housing Plan, have found 2 potential sites. And we are going to look at how we can edit the plan to accommodate for the downtown restrictions on obviously size, amongst other things. I've also been working with certain members of the McGill community on improving the access to health and support resources on campus. And finally, I have had the chance to be onboarded to the CKUT Board of Directors. I stand for questions.
Thank you very much. If there are any questions, please raise your hands now. Seeing no questions, we'll be moving on to the next agenda item, which is the report by the Vice President of Finance. I think I made it so you can unmute yourself. Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yep, all good. So hey everyone, I'm Eric. I'm the VP Finance for this year, and here's my report. So what I do essentially in the day-to-day is a lot of administrative work. So I work to support the clubs, work to support the services financially. I work on general finances. A lot of this is like signatures, make sure accounting forms are properly filed, and then working on the audit, which is hopefully going to end soon, but it's our yearly financial audit that basically goes over and make sure that, you know, as nonprofits generally do, our finances are all in order. I also work on funding, so I sit on the funding committee, and I work with Ali, the funding commissioner. And finally, a lot of my work is in regards to the health insurance plan as well, and working with that. My projects for the coming year, I want to evaluate and expand our operational needs. This is in line with the 5-year plan, and I'll go into depth on that a little bit later. Working on services and funds that have a COVID surplus. It's something we noticed. COVID kind of limited our ability to do events and have events and to disperse funding. And so many of our funds have large surpluses that we need a way to deal with because we are a nonprofit. Another thing I've been working on is re-examining our investment portfolio, both on an ethical basis and on a practical one. I've been looking to health insurance expansions for trans students specifically, and I've been working on a few other goals and projects I'll be going into depth in a little bit. I'll also be presenting involvement opportunities, and there will be time at the end for questions. So what do I do? This is essentially the line in the Constitution that outlines what I do. I won't read it verbatim, but essentially I need my number one responsibility to ensure the long-term financial stability of the society, to provide my expertise on the general financial status of the society, to develop our annual budget, which I'm currently revising, in a manner that is consistent with what is required for a nonprofit and for SMU, you know, and generally manage the society's funds and guarantee that that's being done well. Essentially, most of my work revolves around making sure the money flows. I also am the representative SMU on the SMU daycare as well. As for clubs, so generally my responsibility is the creation, upkeep, and management of all SMU club bank accounts. So we have, I don't remember if these are the exact numbers, but I believe we have, you know, over 200 open accounts with up to 460 individual signing officers. We're currently in the transition period. We have a complete reset of credit cards and user profiles once every September, but it slowly, you know, as they come in, all September applications have been filed and access given, and access will be given to individuals who submitted their banking services contract in October over the next week. A lot of my work as well is troubleshooting issues with clubs banking access. RBC Express can be a difficult piece of software to use. Sometimes there's faulty tokens, lost credentials, sometimes the system kind of shuts down. So I need to always be on call for that. And after that, I need to generally give, you know, support for people. How do you pay people? How do you work with vendors? How do you use the RBC Express Act? And then reviewing contracts, also my job, as I'm the signing authority of the society. I need to sign off on all binding contracts. For services, I do budget review every year and variance analysis based on how much money we received to make sure that the budgets are, you know, in line with how much money was actually received from the student body with opt-outs and all of that. I do purchasing approvals and recording, so I manage purchase orders, I sign them, and I make sure that capital purchases and all that are sustainable. And I also, because of our new credit card program, I have an overview of the credit card use and make sure that reconciliations are given every month with help from our service finance coordinator as well. Contract review / approval, as I said, like club services are not legal entities. I need to sign off on everything. Honorarium payments, when services get help from individuals who are kind of helping around and they choose to offer them an honorarium, I need to sign off on that. And then long-term planning growth, fee referenda. Since service fees can't be run longer than 5 years, every semester we have a few fee referendums going up to referendum, although I'm looking to kind of streamline the system a little bit. But this happens essentially every semester. So then when it comes to general finance, as I said, ensuring the long-term financial sustainability of society, I create the annual budget, so December to March, and then I revise it in October, which is what I'm currently doing. I need to go over the long-term financial plan. So currently I'm looking to short-term investments and financial efficiency, looking into switching away from GICs into more corporate bonds to kind of get better interest. Looking at staffing and operations expansion in line with the 5-year plan to make sure that SMU is on par with similarly sized student unions across Canada. And finally, the COVID surplus management is a big part of my job right now to make sure that the money that is collected from students is actually spent. I manage the SMU's cash flows to make sure we always have enough money to manage our operational needs. I semesterally go over fee reviews, make sure that our variances are all in order and that we have, the money and the actuals in the budget kind of line up. I go over the investment portfolio, as I said. I help pass the annual audit every year and offer any financial or legal documents needed to our auditors. And I manage the day-to-day financial controls, so credit card approvals, check request approvals. Essentially, all of my work is administrative at heart. So for funding, I oversee the disbursement of over $350,000 of funds every academic year. This is generally done by a variety of committees and a variety of individuals. And this can be, and many of these funds are available to all groups on campus outside of, I believe, the club fund. So I end up doing a lot of, giving money to people. But a lot of clubs are working, a lot of the committees work on this. I essentially sign off on a lot of this. Underutilized funds, all of them, because of the COVID surpluses, we have significant rollover. So please, if you're looking for funding, all these, there's definitions and explanations of what they're for on the website. And just honestly, if you just go through them, there's definitely something that can help fund whatever projects you're working on. After that, the health insurance plans, all SMU members are automatically enrolled in either the health and dental plans or just the dental plan, depending on residency. International student health plan by policy are covered by McGill, not by SMU. Our health plan has full prescription drug coverage. We have up to $1,000 psychology coverage a year, tuition insurance, travel insurance, and currently have a telemedicine service called Dialogue that is available for essentially online consultation. And we also have the dental plan that covers $150 per year, I believe. The full details for this can be found at studentcare.ca. I strongly recommend going there. There's a lot of things that can be directly relevant to students, like smoking cessation aids or things of that nature that are covered. So the current work that I'm doing in regards to health insurance, I'm reviewing and managing plan reserves and possible expansions through the surpluses. We have surpluses in the health insurance. The way it's formed, because it's a 5-year fee, and the way inflation works, we always collect more money at the beginning of a fee renewal, and then by the end of it, we spend it off, but there's always a little bit of a surplus. So I'm looking to see, especially with COVID, so I'm looking to see where we can use those surpluses, what additional benefits we can offer our students. I've been especially looking into certain issues relating to trans students after various consultations I had with members of the McGill community. I'm also reviewing e-counseling options and costs and whether telemedicine is to be continued based on the amount of people that use it, based on how it's being used, whether or not we should bring it to referendum to bring it back next year. And then expanding the insurance plan to cover and address issues relevant to marginalized students as well is something I always look into. Currently, I will be saying this multiple times in this presentation, I am looking for members at large for the Health and Dental Committee. I can't do much without the input of the committee, something that's very important. And I'm hoping, to when I launch it, we will have members at large. I'd rather have that than just counselors and members of the committee. Not that there aren't brilliant people, but it's important to have advice from the community at large. It's a unique opportunity, and it's good and minimal commitment. So I'm going to try and rush through the rest of this. I don't want to take up too much time. So yeah, there's essentially my project up to now. We're looking at expansion and operational needs moving forward. Hiring more staff, working on that, especially during the October budget revision. Next, there is I'm just waiting for it to scroll down. Next is the services and funds, COVID surplus, complicated fee consolidation thing. But we're working with the services to find the best way that we can work together to kind of get this dealt with and make sure that the funds are being used to help students. I'm re-examining our investment portfolio, as I said above, and changing the way we are investing, just to make sure that we have the interest that we should be getting on things. And hopefully we'll be able to have more awards and distinctions, which are essentially small scholarships to students who apply and try and get it. Health insurance expansion, I said, that's a big thing that I'm looking into this year as well to kind of deal with the additional money that we have. And finally, my other projects, essentially, finishing the banking access for clubs, working on securing tenants, making changes to the hours of finance, expanding bilingualism, and giving students an opportunity to learn more about the finance portfolio. Because historically we are a little bit, shadowed in secrecy just because a lot of our work is behind the scenes and logistical. And yeah, and I think that's about it. Oh yes, how you can get involved is very short. Please apply to the Health and Dental Review Committee if you are at all interested in it, but it does a lot of activism and there's a lot of opportunities here. And yeah, as I said, attend public sessions, ledge council and board of directors, and run for office if you want to really get involved. And I think that's it for me, and I'll be taking any questions.
Thank you, Vice President. If there are any questions, please raise your hands now. Seeing none, we'll be moving to our next presentation. I'd like to remind the executives that when I do the tada reaction, it means that your time is almost up. Normally I do it around 30 seconds of time left. And if you continue talking, I'll send you a message and I'll only interrupt you if you go like way over time, because these are important presentations, but please do keep in mind that your speaking time is 5 minutes. All right, we'll be moving to Vice President, University Affairs.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claire, and I'm the VP University Affairs for the coming year. Yes, sorry. So one of the major things that the University Affairs portfolio does is deal with university level representation, largely through Senate, but also in other avenues. So these are just some of the responsibilities that I have on a daily basis. And you can see a list of all of the different committee meetings and working groups and standing meetings with other stakeholders that I participate in. Another huge thing done by the University Affairs portfolio are dealing with academic rights. So students who report academic violations by their instructors can email myself or the Student Rights Researcher Advocacy Commissioner, and we can support them. We can advocate for them to their professors. So this happens on sort of a smaller level with individuals, and it's also advocacy work that we do overall. So with this year, there was the introduction of the fall reading week for the first time. So we received reports of professors who were ignoring the reading week in the academic calendar. And we've also heard, I guess, continuing remote learning violations and things that seem wrong but aren't necessarily violations. So for instance, how you evaluate someone's participation in a Zoom class. Can a professor make you turn your camera on, that sort of thing. Another academic rights issue is the policy assessing student learning. This used to be called USAP, if you remember that name. This is a super important policy because it concerns things like exam accommodations, participation grades, that sort of thing. So having student consultation here is very meaningful. This is a super productive group and I'm really glad to be a part of it. This is also a huge place to advocate for SMU's goals. So for instance, placing restrictions on paid material required to participate in a course, which is super important for accessibility. Lastly, for academic rights, we do the Know Your Rights campaign. So this year we tabled outside the University Center for the first time in a year, which was really exciting. We tried to add in COVID-related rights, and we had success in getting the message across of reaching out to SMU with concerns, but unfortunately, we couldn't give people a lot of concrete information because there's ever-changing and unclear information given to us by the university. Know Your Rights will be done again in the winter, so we're hopeful that we'll be able to table inside this time. COVID-19 and academics. So as you know, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected a lot of things, and it intersected with a lot of other issues that have been going on at the university for a long, long time. So we are seeing and have seen a lack of accommodations for students vulnerable to COVID-19 and for students who were in other countries and trying to make it back into Canada for school. We've been able to successfully advocate for individual students who reach out typically to ask their professors about alternate arrangements or explain attendance, but unfortunately there's still a huge lack of streamlined accommodations and many people are in learning environments where they don't feel safe. One of the ways that this has tried to have been dealt with is the Ad Hoc Committee of Senate on COVID Academic Planning and Policies. So this was struck a few weeks ago, and it's meant to make decisions of an academic nature related to COVID, sort of taking a little bit of power away from the Emergency Operations Committee, which I'll talk about a bit more in a minute. And so far, it's been a pretty productive committee. It's just meant to provide a separate avenue for decision making outside of the EOC, especially for academic things. But I can discuss more of that after. So this is sort of what we've been up to with COVID safety and vaccination on campus. So as Sasha said, we worked together on the protest for a safe and accessible campus, along with really awesome SMU staff and volunteers. The rest of this are things that we've been doing and trying to promote and advocate for at the university level. Unfortunately, nothing has much changed since the beginning of the year. Miguel is not willing to make these very important changes, but that's why the work we do is important. We just have to keep it up. And I'm also in constant contact with student union leaders at other universities in Quebec and in Canada, just to discuss how their campuses are handling COVID, because it's helpful to have these conversations. So these are some of the most significant issues pertaining to COVID-19 on campus. So it's things I've spoken about before, like the lack of streamlined accommodations, the fact that we still have mandatory attendance. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to talk really fast. But basically the EOC, the Emergency Operations Committee, takes a lot of decisions about COVID, even when they're not really in their purview. They've been doing this for about a year, and that's difficult because there's a lack of transparency and they're making these decisions very unilaterally. So it's just important that power be redelegated to other groups who can better deal with them. Okay, library improvement fund. We need more prayer space in libraries. Indigenous affairs, that's autonomous. We just support it as best we can and strengthen SMU's mandate. Gender and sexuality, Quip's motion, please check it out. That was all the Gender and Sexuality Commissioner Gray. They are fantastic. Upcoming referendum, I really encourage you to vote yes on that. Looking into how to reduce unpaid labor done by SMU, done at SMU, lots of research already on this, and that may require constitutional changes / referenda in the coming semester. Menstrual health team, pads and tampons are all around campus again. If you take one, they're put there by our awesome menstrual products team. They're great, we're working hard. I'm working on revising the family care policy, the menstrual health policy. The team is also working on that. Internally, the Ad Hoc Governance Review Committee, and I'm also at the University Center a lot to help students with questions or who need something from SMU. And I've assisted in staffing needs for that, but we're gonna have some great people on board it soon. Very sorry I went so over, misread the situation.
It's all good. Thank you for speeding up there at the end. All right. If there are any questions, please raise your hands now. Seeing no questions, we'll be moving on to the next presentation, which will be by Vice President Student Life. I think you can unmute yourself now.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Everyone. Okay, it's logging now. 1 second. I want to see your screen, Alex.
It's actually not my screen, it's our dearest parliamentarian Cower.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, I'm ready to go. So hi everyone, I'm Carla Jesucopilla. I'm the VP Student Life. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'll show you what I do. Okay, so this is just an overview of what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to talk about my portfolio, activities night, student groups, club services, family care, mental health, and some miscellaneous stuff. Okay, so I oversee over 250 clubs, 17 services, and 11 independent student groups. So I just manage the relationship between SMU staff and the groups. I'm almost responsible for conflict resolution. So if they have any issues with elections or any other issues, I help them out. I carry out SMU's mental health initiatives, and this is done with the mental health team. I'm also responsible for SMU's family care policies and practices, and I collaborate with staff from McGill Student Services. Okay, so for student groups, we're currently developing the student group portal. This is huge. Most of you are probably aware of how my involvement works. So this is the same platform, but we're gonna use it for student groups. So now students are gonna be able to communicate with SMU better. So all the forms are gonna be just centralized in there. They're also gonna be able to have a calendar. They're gonna be able to manage their executives, their volunteers. It's just gonna be an amazing, amazing platform. So it's gonna be a SMU app. I updated, we can go before. I updated the master list. So right now the master list includes a lot of information so we can update our social media faster. So all the student group information is readily available. Also now student group executives under SMU will receive a recognition, their McGill co-curricular record, which is the first time we're doing this. I'm also in the process of amending the internal regulations of student groups. And now I've been, of course, overseeing events and making sure that everyone's complying with COVID-19 regulations. So for clubs, the club workshops were September 18 and 19. They went really great. I updated the club processes document. So this is where we have all the sanctions. I troubleshooted some election issues that some groups had. I applied sanctions to clubs who didn't submit their winter 2021 audit, and I prepared MOUs with 2 clubs. For services, the service summit took place on September 18 and 19. We also partnered with Answer to offer free first aid certified trainings, which is a first timer. This was really, really exciting. The first cohort was this past weekend, and we're gonna have the next following weekend. So this is really, really cool. I also solved some conflicts that were unresolved from last year with some groups. And in collaboration with the VP Finance, we ensure financial protocols were respected and understood. For family care, the family care policy is up for renewal this semester, so the VPUA will be leading this renewal. I was also part of the GBSC Family Care Subcommittee. We had the first meeting as of October 6th, and right now there's a McGill Parent Network group. So this is an MS team where all the parents can talk to each other and sort of help each other with the questions they have. And the daycare is running smoothly. We're also in the process of providing parents with resources on knowledge on CPs. Mental health. So Mental Health Illness Awareness Week took place October 3rd to the 10th. It was amazing. The Mental Health Commissioner is working on the Student Suicide Prevention Framework. The Mental Health Advocacy Coordinators is working on the Academic Wellness Proposal. Mental Health Roundtable took place September 27. We had amazing conversations that are really going to help us for the rest of the semester. The Wellness Portal is under implementation, so the legal documents were sorted out, and now we're just collaborating on how this will be implemented. And then also the mental health team is collaborating with student services on clarifying the Wellness Hub scope. And some miscellaneous stuff. I've been working with Clay to do some workshops on how to get involved at McGill. Like I told you before, we're working with career planning and services for CCR recognition, so executives can get recognized, so like club and services and independent student groups executives, as well as committee members. So this is the first time that we're doing this. And lastly, and very exciting, right now we have portable chargers at the University Center that you can just take for 72 hours for free. So if you don't have anywhere to charge your phones, you can just come and do that. So this is just like an overview of what I've been doing for the past couple of weeks. If you have questions, you can email me. You can also have a meeting with me online and just put it on my calendar.
Thank you very much. If there are any questions, please raise your hands. Seeing no question, we'll be moving on to the next point on the agenda. which is a presentation by the Vice President Internal Affairs, which is also our last presentation. I give you the floor.
Thank you. Okay, so this is my report for the past couple months. I'm just gonna wait for it to load. Okay. So we're just an overview of my portfolio. So I take care of the society's communications. I also am in charge of SPIN, which is our events committee. I help with first year affairs, alumni affairs. I help run GERTS, and I'm also in charge of Francophone affairs as of this year. So first, starting with communications, it's pretty straightforward, but we did a couple changes this year to try to make the platform more appealing. So we changed the theme, or rather created a theme out of the yellow and blue colors to make it very pretty. As you can see, the screenshot that I took, gorgeous. We have weekly updates from executives to make it a bit more like friendly. I added a link tree in the bio to make some of our resources more accessible to students because our website can be hard to navigate sometimes. We updated all the style guides and revamped the listserv to match the colors that we have on our Instagram. And something that I didn't add, but that we also did that matches with that kind of idea is the signage project that was finished this year. So there's a bunch of new signs that match this new color palette that we've developed. We also hired a full-time translator. They've been onboarded as of last week, so it's been super exciting. And I've also been helping with grad photos, which I believe are going on now. So yeah, that's kind of it for communications. For events with SPIN, so we are hosting a bar crawl on Halloween for October 28th. And I am pleased to say that the event sold out in 3 minutes. So that is a record. And we're very proud and excited to present the event. And this year, I'm hoping to get more trainings on inclusivity and just like bringing in like the GSVP policy and the equity policy and making sure that all of the committee members are well trained, as well as trying to get every event have a sustainability certification. I also hired a new position under the portfolio to bring in more small scale events throughout the year, and we're working on a survey now to send out to students before the end of the semester to kind of see what students would like to see from here on out. So that's it for events. For first year affairs, I did a bunch of workshops in August with Carla on involvement at McGill, kind of boosting SSMU and the first year affairs council. For the first year council itself, the team has been assembled and we're having our first meeting soon, but obviously it's hard to get like 10 people together at the same time. The first year affairs commissioner and myself created a guide to the FYC with a bunch of SSMU information, which we'll be adding to the website because I've noticed that there's like no information on the first year affairs anywhere, which makes it really hard when trying to solicit people to campaign for the positions. So those are a couple revamps that we did this year. Next is alumni affairs. So this is 2 branches, MASEC and LifeAid. So MASEC is a place where alumni and students come together and talk about leadership experiences and opportunities, as well as kind of what LifeAid, which is more events-based portfolio, should do to get students ready for life after their degree. So the first MASEC meeting will take place on November 9th, and all students are available to able to take place and take part in the meeting. So that's super exciting. So all students who are like interested. And we had a LinkedIn crash course event with LifeAid on October 13th and 15th. And we also have an event coming up next week on, I believe it's internships. I'll have to double check though. So that's it for alumni affairs. Next is GERTS. So GERTS is finally reopened. It's open every day from 1 to 11 on Mondays to Fridays. The team and I worked on creating a new logo, which is the little squirrel holding a beer mug, which is very cute, which represents the like classic McGill squirrel on campus. I've been helping out our bar manager with the Instagram plan, and the cafe part of the bar will be opening relatively soon. So that's also very exciting. So I encourage you to go grab a drink during the day to help grind out your assignments. So that's pretty much it. Other miscellaneous things, we increased merch budget to kind of help provide students with more SSMU related things to kind of get our brand out there. Worked on a couple statements, some policy workshopping. So there's a couple policies that are expiring that I've been helping kind of reconstruct, and a couple meetings with admin that I've been helping Claire with. So that's pretty much it on my end. Thanks.
Thank you very much. If there are any questions, please raise your hands now. VPUA.
I just wanted to say the squirrel's name is Cloudberry for the minutes.
Thank you very much. It will be noted. Cloudberry's name will forever be in our GA minutes. All right, seeing no questions, we can move to our last point in the agenda, the adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Benson one.
So moved.
Thank you. Can we get a second? VP Internal.
Second.
Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned at 7:02. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking the time to join the GA. Sadly, we did not reach quorum tonight, but hopefully in the future we will. This has been an interesting GA. I wish you all a great night, a great afternoon, and a good midterm season. All right, goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, Alex.